Okay, hey, what's up? This is gonna be a long, random talk. We're just going through some stuff here as it comes to mind. So if you don't want to stick around for that, that's cool. But this is what we're doing, just chilling. So Sidra, she woke up not long ago and just came down the hall saying that her mom called her. That's what it was. She called you.
No, she sent me a text.
Oh, it was a text saying that Trump was found guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started looking stuff up, and it kept bringing up the Eugene trial and all that, and civil and liable. And I was like, no, it's had to put it in today's date, 5/30/2024. And it was like Trump, reported by CNN, found guilty on all charges. And when Sidra told me that Trump was found guilty, my first thought was, meh. See, I don't, guilty doesn't mean anything. So he's found guilty. I mean, what kind of victory do you get? Even if he does go to prison, what kind of victory do we get? But being found guilty isn't the same as the punishment. He could be put on house arrest for 8 months. He could.
So I got information about that because I went looking it up too.
Okay.
It says Trump faces a maximum sentence of 4 years in prison, though others convicted of that crime often receive shorter sentences, fines, or probation. Incarceration will not prevent him from campaigning or taking office if he were to win.
And
What everyone, or a lot of people are betting on is the fact that, okay, he gets found guilty, he gets sentenced. Let's say they give him 6 months in a nice cushy correctional minimum security correctional facility. That's probably the best we can hope for.
he could still run for president.
Oh yeah, that's what I just read. It's still campaigning, but what they are counting on is that a lot of folks who are in his corner, to put it mildly, would not vote for a convicted criminal. And more to the point, a lot of the independents, which so many say every election hangs on, have already kind of said without saying through all these multitude of polls is that they would not vote for a convicted criminal.
Yeah. And they say that, but there's some people that hate the left so much they'll vote for Trump just because. They'll do that. But him being found guilty, I would say the best thing that could happen would be that he was removed from the ballots.
Yeah.
He's removed from the ballots, but people can still write him in. But then they don't have anyone else to put up there. You know, Trump, everyone knew Trump was going to win the nominee for the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
And Nikki Haley's the last one to go.
Yeah.
Now, because of this, not taking him off the ballots, the ballot would be the same. It would be almost like saying, okay, we're not going to take him off, even though he's found guilty on 31 plus charges, but we won't tell you of other people that's running for presidency because they are not within the two-party system.
Of course.
I find that a strong slight against society.
They don't care if it's a slight. They're trying to preserve this system. They've been rigging it for years for it to be this way, and they're going to do whatever they can to maintain it.
I truly do think that no one has rigged the system more than the voters. That's where my standpoint is at the moment. It ain't like it can't change. But the voters have always had options. But it's protect your own, fight against the other, and anyone else will be splitting the vote, so they're the enemy.
There was a system that this country had prior to, when we were really young. I was barely 1 and you were barely 4. Back in the day, where people ran for office and the news actually reported news.
Yeah, this person's running for office. This is their platform. What will you choose?
Things like that. It was really nonpartisan outside of the politicians. But when I can't remember what regulation Reagan let go, but basically the news stations didn't have to be impartial. They could do whatever jump the shark BS they wanted to do. That changed. And that's when you got, pissant news stations or heavily biased news stations coming to be, skewing or poorly reporting things in the forefront of politics. And so that is what people have been ingesting since whenever Reagan did that. I don't know the year specifically. So I think Reagan became president in 80. Let's just say he did it in 80. I don't know for sure. But at some point in his 8 years, he deregulated media. And that's been a long time.
And now media is pro-money. I mean, it's a capitalist society, right?
It's pro-money, and it's also created these various echo chambers that didn't exist before.
Yeah.
And so in that vein is that's a large part of why things are the way they are, and why it's so hard for people who are voting to look outside of their own echo chamber, outside their bubble, because a lot of those who are bubbling, a lot of those who are voting, became cognizant of what was going on after Reagan did what he did. And it's always been the way it's always been. And the people who existed in a time when it wasn't like that may not even realize the change, because they already got their voting ideas set, or they're not here anymore.
Most people got their voting ideas set. That just, this is how I vote, this is the way it is, you're not going to change me. And it's like, why are you against me when I'm trying to be for you? That's kind of that's really what the whole scope of it is. But people don't vote out of love, they vote out of fear.
Oh yeah.
No one voted for, look, I want us to have absolute democracy and freedom of lots of things, yada, yada, yada. No one does that. They will vote in fear and claim that it's for somebody else. No, you're afraid of the other side winning. Look, in this case, Trump winning, that's an outright nightmare. Okay? So I get it. But what are people going to do? Okay, but look, I already knew Trump wasn't going to win, because it's not the flow. It's someone wins, they do their 8 years. Then the other side win, they do their 8 years. Then the next side win, they do their 8 years.
It breaks up from time to time. But
the only side that seems to break down and do the least amount of years are the staunch, hateful, and bigoted side. Whether it be back in before 1971, where it would be the Democrats, or post 1979 Republicans. It's, you're going to just have your sides. What I think is what people need to do is actually wonder what's going on around them, instead of just the status quo of what you're doing. Because if you are the status quo, voting for the status quo, hoping that there's going to be a change, that's not going to happen. If you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always got.
What we've always done is what they're always peddling. Vote. I get out there and vote. You gotta register, you gotta vote. And yes, that's important, but it takes a lot more, and we talked about this a few days ago. It takes a lot more in this country to be a citizen of this country than just showing up to vote once every 4 years.
Yes, and it takes legwork.
It takes legwork, but you have to be educated in what kind of legwork you need to be doing.
Yes.
And that education isn't anything that's readily provided. You have to go after it. You have to go find it. And that's what makes it hard. As I was telling you a few days ago, okay, you go to civics class when you're in high school, they teach you the 3 branches of government, checks and balances, president, constitution, Senate, Congress. You learn all the basic framework of how this government is set up, but you don't learn how it runs, and the actual how it runs and how they get stuff done politically on the state level and on the federal level is politics. They don't teach politics. You start to see politics when you become of a cognitive age and you're paying attention, but then again, those politics are also skewed based on what tribe you're in or what you were taught. And I was telling Sedrik that if they taught politics, the ins and outs of politics, and how that civic framework to our government actually runs in high school, you would have a better chance of having citizens who have accepted and claimed their advanced citizenship to do more than vote and head nod.
Yeah, I'm just thinking. I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff over here at one time.
Okay.
How can I say this? The best way to get the people to not get the things that they need is to make sure that they don't know what they can do.
Yeah.
You tribalize it, and then you make that tribalism emotional. And once it becomes emotional, it's a deadlock. It's locked in. And that's when you get people saying, you're not going to change my mind. I'm not going to see different. All the while toting, I want new ideas, fresh ideas, while doing everything they can to block out new ideas and fresh ideas.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do y'all reconcile that? Like, for example, right now,
they don't care to.
In roughly 4 years, 4.5 years, there's not going to be a Biden. He would have done his time. There's not going to be a Trump. He's not going to be allowed in the party. He's just not. He'll have to start his own party. His children will have to start their own party. And they just alienated like crazy the Libertarian Party.
Yeah.
So the people, who are you going to vote for? And here is the answer of who you're going to vote for. You will vote for whomever the DNC and RNC put before you. Here's your dinner plate. Here's the food. Eat it, and they walk off. And you might not like what's on that plate. You can complain. You can scream. You can protest. But you're going to eat what's on that plate. You didn't like Biden. He's too old. He's getting too old. He's too old. He's too old, and that's it. You don't like him for what he did in the past. You don't like him for this. You don't like him for that. He flubbed his words. He said some swear words. You don't like him, but you're going to vote for him. You can complain. You can yell, scream, and protest, but you're going to vote for him. That's not freedom. That's not democracy. And if there's other candidates out there, I think it's fair for them to have a fair shake, to be heard. It doesn't mean that they are the great savior, because the president is not the savior. The president is more or less a political mascot. The president can do things, but like, for example, people saying President Biden need to call for a ceasefire in Israel. Like he can do that. Like he can actually do that. It was like, Israel, you stop. And they'll be like, LOL.
Okay. We're going to stop now because Biden said, no, it's its own sovereign country. Now he can suggest, he can recommend, because the U.S. and Israel are allies. But, Netanyahu is going to, just as he has, and just as he will continue to, do what he wants to do.
Yep. With U.S. military equipment. That's it. And Biden's not going to say, look, we're just yanking that, all of it, every piece of it. It's not going to happen.
No, it ain't like they renting it. They probably bought it.
Some of it's bought, but they need Israel as a power over there. They need them as a power in the Middle East. They're not going to do anything about that. And that's why it's not about morals, just foreign policy. You need them as a strength, as a strategy, so you don't want to rock that boat but so much. You want to get peace, but in a way that doesn't jeopardize your relationship with them. There was, I need to go and find it. There was a question asked up here. Let me see if I can find it real quick before we get into other stuff. It was asked on Discord. I wonder, did people actually hate Trump, or is it just trendy, or was it a combination of the two? Hate, honestly, a lot of hate is trend. It is. You don't want, these people working with those people, so you get those people, you get them a quote unquote deal to hate these people. And those people will hate these people, and then you renege on the deal, and now the people realize, oh crap, we didn't have any power. That's literally copy and paste right there. It doesn't matter what group it is. You want to hate on black people, you want to hate on the indigenous, you want to hate on the Hispanic, the Irish, you want to hate on the British at points when you can, the French. And people say, we don't hate on the French. If you ever hear somebody say, pardon my French, that's where it came from. Hate. Go look it up if you need to. But yeah, hate is easy. It's easy to join hatred against something. But was it a trend? No. Trump earned any hatred. But as I wrote to him, hate was never the thing. Hate was never the thing. Fear or just a Republican, but never hate. And then I told him we're going to talk about this.
So when it comes to that question, was the trend to hate Trump? So prior to Trump taking office, at times he was a little more veiled. He played the game a little better, not saying the quiet part out loud, but he was saying it. You just had to listen. And then he won. And it was like, watching a train run over a small child every day for 4 years. Because just about every day, it was something new.
These are Republicans
that this dumbass was doing. And the Republicans...
in his name.
And then the Republicans around him were like, this dude is an idiot. And that started coming out. It's like, okay, you got some ride or dies in his party. You got some thinking people. His party's like, oh man, we done really messed up. And these are the ones, on his staff in the White House. That's why the turnover was so high while he was there, because folks started realizing how stupid he was.
Where did Donald Trump go wrong?
He ran for president.
No. Donald. Here's what happened. This is what happened to the Republican Party as a whole. This is what, and this is akin to when I tell you how groups of people you've got all the power until you find out where yours is the limit. And Trump, he got in there with these other Republicans like, yeah, you're a rich guy, you're a wealthy guy, you're known, you're popular. You got the it factor. You can talk to the people, you can galvanize, you can do all this. Okay, fine. But then it's not that they realized what he was. They knew what he was before he got in there. They already knew. But they need the people behind them to say, the country wants us to do these horrible things that we're doing. Republicans are known for destroying everything just to stick it to the liberals, while the ones that they vote in stick it to them. And then the ones that are getting stuck blame other people for why they're getting stuck, when they're the ones that they ordained it. You want Trump, you voted for Trump. He spewed his racism and everything. And the Republicans, these lawmakers and whatnot, the politicians, the cabinets, all of these people, the problem is they realize he's giving up the game. He's saying all the quiet parts out loud. He's not holding back any terms of racism. It's not, how can I say this? To those that don't know, for those that are probably 30 years of age and younger, maybe 20 years of age and younger, they don't know certain terms. There were some terms that he was saying that I had no idea was racist or bigoted or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
There were things, and I'm like, okay, wow, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But these other people do because they're bathed in that. His supporters, they just love racism. They love being able to kick down on someone based on their skin tone. That's their thing. If you're a Republican, you're a racist. You're a bigot. You're a zealot. That's just it. You are. If you're a Democrat, there's a slim chance that you might be. If you're a Republican, you are. And if you're not, why are you voting with them? Like,
they demonstrate that quite often, all the time. And
they ran over and killed that poor girl. And Trump says there were bad people on both sides. Because he can't just say, yeah, my side messed up. They just murdered that girl. Trying to kill somebody else. And I'm like, y'all are so stupid. Y'all just literally Bin Laden that shit. Y'all, Bin Laden attacked, but then you went after Saddam Hussein.
Mm-hmm.
That was cowardly.
We're going to shift the narrative to do what we want to do, and y'all won't be the wiser.
Yeah, the term I was trying to come up with was George Bush in it, but yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Another problem that goes along with this is this country's obsession with celebrity.
Yes. If a celebrity says it, it must be true.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say, no, that ain't it. But then you do it. The next celebrity come out and say something, you'll believe it. And if you don't believe it, it's because it's going against a celebrity you already like ahead of time.
And you've heard the adage many times, but it's true. Just like buttholes, everybody's got an opinion, and it doesn't mean that that's correct. And it doesn't mean that what they're saying is for the greater good. It's not. Just because they, had a show on TV or get their name on buildings doesn't mean they know what they're talking about. That's because they put out lots of, hip hop albums that you cherish doesn't mean that they should get on any platform and start speaking some rhetoric. And that is right. It doesn't matter if they're celebrities. They are people. And people do dumb stuff.
People are irrational, illogical, panicky beings. And it's all within fear. Panic, irrational. That's what they do.
But if But if somebody is not famous and they got a platform and they're running for office and giving you, quantifiable policies, things that they have considered and want to implement to improve things, they're ignored. Oh, they're not charismatic. They're not a name. Stuff along that lines. And they get ignored. But, Trump can get on TV and say anything. Oh, I recognize him. I saw him on The Wrestler a long time ago. Man, I used to watch The Apprentice. He was married to that pretty Ivana Trump. Yeah, I'm gonna vote for him. You look like we could have a beer with him. He talks my language.
And all of that is why people mainly voted for him. And he's Republican. He was Democrat at one point, and then he came out and said that he'll choose either side, depends on which one's in charge. So, yeah. Trump and all of these indictments and all of these charges of guilty, it's not going to mean anything if all he's going to get is a slap on the wrist. If it were you or I, we'd be doing some time. The trial wouldn't even lasted this long. It might have been, 2-3 days in court, maybe?
The trial lasted this long because the prosecution had so much to present. It was mostly prosecution the whole time. The defense was very small. That's why the trial was so long.
Donald Trump violated gag order after gag order after gag order.
And they would not lock his ass up.
They wouldn't lock him up. That should have told y'all exactly how this is going to go.
It did. He's not going to be incarcerated?
You'll probably have to do like 500 hours of community service,
Or pay a fine.
be on house arrest for about 8 months or
I don't
a
even
year.
think it's gonna I don't even think that's gonna go there for a house arrest and all. I don't see that.
I think he might do some house arrest.
The
They'll make the house arrest last just until probably like October, like mid-October or something.
The two cases that are out there that could get Trump some time are the racketeering case in Georgia and everything associated with that is 91 indictments for that, and then the withholding federal documents case, because those aren't civil cases. That's all criminal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's criminal stuff that they don't slap you on the wrist for. Nobody has been slapped on the wrist for racketeering. Nobody.
You about to find out. Because this whole thing with Trump, I mean, this is why Nixon resigned, so he wouldn't go through this. Nixon would have been messed up.
And see, and what the problem with that is, it's because he resigned doesn't mean you didn't do it. They just chose not to go after him.
It's the same as if a cop beat on somebody, sexually assaults somebody, and then they resign, and then nothing happens to them. And then 6 months later, they get hired somewhere else.
Yeah, that's, the crime has still been done.
Yep.
It's just whoever, nobody made the move to go after Nixon. Maybe they had weak-ass attorney generals like we've had forever.
What about, let's see, what's another one? Yeah, priests and whatnot that commit sexual crimes.
They just put into a different parish.
Yep.
And act like it didn't happen.
And they go do it there for a while, and then they get moved somewhere else.
And they act like it didn't happen.
And then the ones that get locked up, we're not going to talk about that. Y'all going to forget about that because you're so bathed in fear. Because here's the thing. It's not the belief in God that's the problem. The religion is the problem. And when you put both of them together, that's where you done messed up. Because your religion and your belief in God should be very separate things. And the belief in God is just simply the belief in God. The religion is the thing telling you how to believe in God. That's the difference.
And they move from parish to parish, leaving turmoil in their wake.
Lots of people distraught, traumatized, and who knows how that affects the rest of their life and how they affect others, which go on to affect others and others and others. Traumatized people will traumatize people, and they will keep traumatizing.
Sometimes they are wanting to do it. Sometimes they don't know that they are.
That's what's messed up. And thinking about doing stuff to people and all this assault. What's up with Sean Puffy Combs, P. Diddy, dude? What did he do?
Okay, so
what's going on? Something about a towel? Some stuff about a wife?
Hold on.
What's going on?
So,
was he stuck in traffic?
That'd be at least his problem.
It was something about traffic.
Oh, hush. Okay, so it's been stuff coming out.
The man can't drive?
I don't know if he can drive or not. So it's been stuff coming out about Sean Combs in increments for months. I don't really care about Sean Combs one way or another. Never have. Never bought an album. Never bought an album of anybody he produced. So, but he's a hip hop figurehead. Anyway, so I guess Cassie, who was an R&B singer, who I don't know her either, she accused him, and maybe some kind of charges were filed, sex trafficking charges against him back in October or November of last year. It's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, so was she sex trafficked?
Well, I don't know.
Because she gonna file the charge, So what is it? So what are they doing? Sex in traffic, or was it like sex and then travel somewhere else and then have more sex? Because if that's the case, there's not a human being that is sexually active that has not sex trafficked.
You know what sex trafficking is.
What happens when they get stuck in traffic?
I guess you sit there.
Well, somebody's gonna sit there, but the other's got to be moving. Somebody's got to be doing something.
So at some point, and I can't remember exactly when it was. I don't know if it was the end of last year or the beginning of this year. FBI went and raided, I think, 2 of his houses. And it's like, oh, I remember seeing that and like, oh, that's not good.
See, the conspiracy is they didn't check 3 or 4.
That's okay. That's not good. So apparently,
They knew where to go.
So apparently, after that, after the sex trafficking charges were filed against him, Rolling Stones, they actually tend to do investigative reporting.
And they sing good songs too.
It's 2 different Rolling Stones.
Really?
Yes.
So it's not Papa either.
No, it's not. One's a magazine. One's a very old rock and roll group.
So what about the one Rolling Stones? Papa was one.
Are you gonna let me finish telling this?
What? Okay, go ahead. I'm trying to get things straight. I want people to understand what we're doing here.
Papa and the Rolling Stone that he was have anything to do with this. So Rolling Stone started doing an investigative report, and basically, people know people, and they just started finding people and asking questions. And based on their findings, Puffy Combs has been a abuser of women since he was a student at Howard University.
So that make him about 18 to 22, right?
At the time,
starting.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Whether it's beating up on them, being, sexually creepy, or sexually assaulting. There are some sexual assault victims out there. There are some women who worked with him at Bad Boy that felt like he was there. They were there just for his access and entertainment. So a lot of shit was coming out, again, is slowly coming out against him. And then, more to the point, no, not more to the point, in addition to, it was revealed that Sean Combs was very fond of Tupac. And Tupac didn't mess with Sean Combs because he wasn't a rapper. He was just some executive record producer. And Tupac liked Biggie because he saw Biggie as a peer, which makes sense. Essentially, they were in the same field. They did the same thing.
Yeah,
that's what a peer is.
One of the boys.
Yeah.
Like in pro wrestling, you got one of the boys, and then you got staff, like grunt workers at the office, at the cubicles, or in the ditch, or in the sewer, or in construction. And then you got those that walk around in the different outfits with the clipboards and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's different people,
And so,
he was
Puffy,
a suit and tie.
Yeah, and Puffy was supposedly jealous of the relationship, whatever it was that Biggie and Tupac had. So fast forward a little bit, Biggie's dead, and
inexplicably,
yeah, he's shot and killed for some reason by someone. Biggie's dead, and he wastes no time capitalizing on his death.
Yeah, I mean, Biggie died basically like a Wednesday, and then Thursday, there's the video with Faith.
I don't know if it was that soon.
Oh, it was that soon. It was that soon.
I
remember when I said, did they have this video prepared before he died? Because it was quick.
Yeah,
it was real quick.
That song got tons of radio play, and then it
was a nice song though.
I never liked it.
Why?
I thought it was a poor use of the source material. I didn't like Faith's delivery. I didn't like it. Now, if you remember, I didn't like it back then.
Well, yeah, that was going into his the nobody's using any tone, everyone's raspy, all that stuff. That was that era that still kind of pervasive
I
today.
mean, if you're raspy naturally, and it's
No,
for a
they
reason.
won't raspy at first. Remember that mess happened to Mariah Carey?
Oh
And then
yeah,
she had to come out and say she just won't belting anymore.
yeah. Raspiness is created when you have nodes on your vocal cords.
You have what?
Nodes on your vocal cords.
I heard NOSE.
Oh yeah, that's what causes the raspiness. So when you hear a woman and she's singing and it goes raspy, that's why, because they got nodes on their vocal cords. Like for example, Tina Turner.
Or Mary J.
Tina always had that rasp from the first time she started recording, because back when she was a child working on the sharecropper fields, you had to belt a very far away to call someone. And she did that her childhood working with her grandmother on the sharecropper field. So by the time she became a woman and started singing, she had nodes on her vocal cords from doing that. That's why it's raspy.
Nodes are cool, y'all. Nodes are cool.
And you can keep singing with nodes unless they get to a point where they start causing problems.
Then the nodes are not cool, y'all. At that point, the nodes are not cool.
So back to Combs. So after the song came out, and he created a big push for Biggie's album Life After Death to come out, and was driving everyone to make this number one, make it top 10, make it the absolute best. Now, there's a lot of folks who are grieving the loss of Biggie. He didn't give a shit. You're gonna do this thing here. Okay, not long after that, Rolling Stones wanted to put someone on the cover from, I guess, Bad Boys, and it was suggested to Combs, hey, why don't we put Biggie on there as a tribute? He was like, nah, put me on there, because I'm gonna drop my album. And that's what they did. They showed the cover. He was on it trying to look hard. This man had never looked hard a day in his life, but he was trying to look hard. And then that was
means tough for those that don't know.
Official start of his
the three of you that don't know, it means tough.
That was the official start of his musical career and his very dry albums.
I thought Sean was rapping before.
He was on Biggie albums. His first album, based on what I just saw.
He was a part-timer. He was just a hype man kind of thing.
His first album didn't come out till after Biggie was dead, based on what I've just learned.
Okay.
And then he was in the spotlight, which is probably what he always wanted anyway. Because there are people who really want the spotlight, and they will, slap their mama to get there. They don't need to be there. People who need to be in the spotlight, they don't make it. And he later went on to say that his album sold so many millions of copies, because of the death of Biggie, like sympathy sales. Basically, he just profited off of the death of Biggie. So, I'm sure there's going to be more coming out about this. If you I never clicked on them because I didn't really care, but if you look on YouTube, there's all kinds of things out there from different sources talking about the kind of parties that Puffy had at his house. Or he would have wild parties where dudes that you wouldn't expect are having sex with dudes. Now, homosexuality is not the problem. It's just that, I think the indication that some people were forced into it when they did not want to. I don't know how true all that is, but there are things going down with Sean Combs and skeletons tumbling out the closet.
Okay, but this has been going on for decades.
Yeah.
So why is it a thing now?
Because
why suddenly
somebody,
now?
And I'm guessing this Cassie, decided that she had enough. So other people who felt that they couldn't come forward because this individual was too powerful, are coming forward.
So what made him not too powerful now all of a sudden? But he was too powerful all this other time until now? See,
folks fall off.
Huh?
folks fall off. Think about this. Bill Cosby had his heyday.
Yeah.
Then he started getting older. You didn't start seeing him as much. Power has waned. Okay?
Yeah.
Not to mention this, this is for good or for bad, innocent or guilty. No, guilty or not guilty. If there's an opportunity to take a black person down, if some folks are going to jump on it. Whether they are guilty, whether they've done things or not. Now, if you've done a lot of messed up stuff, you need to go down. It doesn't matter what color you are, because you probably devastated lives. But power wanes. And so, there was a point in time where Bill Cosby was the it man, and you couldn't mess with him.
Yeah.
Then he got older. R. Kelly, there was a time where all R&B roads led back to him. Couldn't mess with him. But that began to fade. Got older. Same thing with Puffy. There was a time when all roads to hip hop either led to Death Row or Bad Boys. But that time is no longer here. He has gotten older and power fades. And it's all about the control that you have over the people that you're dominating. So if that starts to slip, or, one woman says, man, back in the day, yada, yada. Oh, man, that happened to me too. What? And I know a homegirl who, then, because there is the feeling, the sensation that when you get man or woman, you get your ass beat, you get sexually assaulted, you get raped, and you feel like somehow you earned it or you're the only one.
Terry Crews mentioned that he was sexually assaulted, and people was like, okay. It's like they didn't give a damn. But, these other women coming out saying they're sexually assaulted, and it's like the world blow up.
He did.
And I'm like, shouldn't y'all blow up no matter who comes out?
He did that during the whole Me Too thing. And
yes.
There were a lot of people who didn't care, but there were a lot of people who were like, man,
like
you were
Terry
really brave
Crews?
for coming forward.
Yeah.
And the way
especially in society to be like, oh my God, dude, you got sexually assaulted, you look like a wuss.
And the way he handled it is he just kind of backed out the situation, and people started clowning him that, oh man, you're big, you should have attacked him. But
yeah, but who'd be locked up though?
Exactly. So it also can be a matter of, people feel isolated when that shit happens to them. And so if you pick up the pieces and move forward, and then you learn that it wasn't just you in the past, it wasn't just you in the present, and it could probably very well not be just you in the future, that might change your mind. Time and distance also might change your mind. You know what? I took this and I shouldn't have, and I need to do something to make sure that it doesn't happen to anybody else. It could be all that. But just like everything that happened with R. Kelly, it isn't like, Diddy allegedly did all this stuff in a vacuum. There are other folks who know about it and probably assisted. They even talked about crazy stuff that he did when he was dating Jennifer Lopez. How she broke up with him, and he had his operatives following her around. You need to call Sean. You need to call Sean, talk to him. He wants to. You need to take him back. You need to take him back. Hold him music that she made with him hostage so that she couldn't, crazy stuff like that.
Then J-Lo turned out to be a crazy person too.
Yeah.
Like you got all the sympathy, and then you learn, and you're like, dang.
But that's a different story that I'm not going to be doing research on.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I brought this up is because it's like compiling. And I'm like, oh, it looks like dude is gonna run into some problems that might, take him down. But so I was like, huh.
So you were just curious.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't blame you. Seems like that's gonna do it for us then. We done gave you 44 minutes plus worth of some decent chatter and whatnot. For those that stuck around long enough, I want to thank you. I appreciate it, your time, your energy. So please, if you like this, like, share, subscribe, clip stuff, send it to people or whatnot. Do what you got to do. Remix it. I don't know whatever that really is, but we appreciate you. So with that, we're going to get up on out of here. So it's been Sedrik and Sidra for Comparative Reasoning. Thank you for listening.